Welcome to Side Hustle Paradise. I am your host, Marc, the podcasting coach, bringing you expert sessions from top side hustlers and business owners where we teach you how to boost your income and do the work that you love. And one easy way to have a side hustle is if you have living space. Airbnb can be a really great way to bring in enough money to pay off mortgage, or even if you just want to rent out a room, just pay off some of the different expenses in your life and even build it up to a lucrative level if you want to go that deep into Airbnb. So that's what we'll be talking about in this episode, how to build that up. So the expert who joins us for this session, she's a writer and marketer who is the marketing communication specialist at Schneider Electric. She runs a successful Airbnb side hustle, and that is what we are going to talk about in this session. So our expert who joins us is none other than Cara Berkeley. Cara, welcome to the summit.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm so happy to have you on Side Hustle Paradise. And Airbnb is one of the big side hustle names. Like if you hear side hustle, you think Airbnb, you think Uber, you think a few others, but Airbnb is one of those big dominant ones. So I'm wondering if you could share with us how you got started with Airbnb and got it up to where you are now.
Well, what happened was I was looking for a house to buy for myself, and Nashville was kind of just blowing up real estate wise and tourism wise. And I thought, do I really want to take this money and spend it on something just for me, or do I want to figure out how to make money with my money? So I had a friend who had a friend who was doing Airbnb, and she was like, she made $19,000 this summer on her Airbnb. And I was like, okay, wait a minute, maybe I need to try this. So I bought the house and started booking it on Airbnb. It has been an amazing business. I make a steady passive income on that 9 months out of the year. I actually used my profit from that house to buy a second house, which I live in. And of course, I do Airbnb out of a portion of that house, out of a suite that's sort of separate from me, and that pays my entire mortgage. So I absolutely recommend doing Airbnb, even if you just start out with, like you said, a room, or if you have a downstairs apartment, or if you want to look at buying an actual property just to use it as a rental.
And that's one of the things I love about Airbnb. There's just like so many different ways to a room or a whole property. There's so many different ways to get into it. But how do we get attendees? How do we get tenants to book with us, whether it's for a day or a week? Like, how do we get those people?
Well, the great thing about listing on a site like Airbnb or VRBO, which I also list on, and now there's even more, there's TripAdvisor, there's Booking.com. The great thing about these sites is they do their own marketing and they really bring the customers to you. All you have to do is set up your listing. I do think it's really important to have professional photos. Make sure your interior decor is really great. You got to message with the guests right away and stay on top of it, because that keeps your search ranking up. And the more good reviews you get, of course, the more bookings you're going to get. So you got to keep it clean, keep it nice, and just like any business, stay on top of it.
And one of the things with Airbnb, because, getting a lot of people is really good. And on Airbnb, you could see the ratings of a host. So you have an idea, is this host someone who I want to be with for a few days? But how do you make sure you're getting tenants who are going to be like good guests while they're there?
Yes. Well, Airbnb and VRBO do a good job of vetting people, making sure they have, they're who they are, and keeping on top of anything that's not good. Once a guest has a bad review, then they're not going to be, that you can deny them renting from you. So there are a lot of checks and balances. I know it can sound sort of scary, like letting these strangers in your house, but I've been doing this for 3 years now, and I've had one or two, minor things happen, but for the most part, it has been really wonderful. And everybody that's come to the house are just people from, Iowa or Chicago, and they're coming here for a wedding or, just to have a good time. And it's been really great. No one's done any damage, and I feel like it's pretty safe.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really great point. Like how a lot of people just come for a little bit because, again, that is the different dynamic with Airbnb. And the fact that you've done this 3 years and you're meeting a lot of new people, and that's a whole lot of interaction. You could get clients that way, although that's a reach. Like, you're not going to that's not going to be the reason people come and have a conversation with you. But it is like you're able to introduce people to what you do. You're able to introduce people to your life and your work. And it's just, the gig economy, like part of that is just meeting new people, which is very powerful for anyone to be doing. And with Airbnb, like, you could start really small, but how do you then scale up, like maybe more places in your existing property or have another property entirely dedicated to Airbnb?
Well, of course, you have to save up money for another down payment if you're going to buy another house, and you have to show the income on your tax return in order to get a loan. But that being said, it's really pretty easy. I mean, as long as you start making the money, then you're going to be able to make more money. The big thing is just to start today. Like, this is such an amazing revenue stream. It's so easy to start. It's this great business, like entrepreneurial thing that you can do with really like a click of a button, because we have these websites out there like Airbnb and VRBO that make it easy for people like me to start a whole new thing. And it's really exciting. So
And when you first listed on Airbnb, were there any like issues with getting booking and like optimizing, or were you getting the bookings right away?
Well, so I was getting the bookings right away. I did come on at a lower price point just to try and get some bookings and also to get some reviews, because the reviews are really important. You got to have good reviews in order to keep getting more guests. I would say that you have to check your local permitting. Nashville has a lot of permit like rules now with Airbnb. You have to buy your permit, you have to pay taxes to the city, you have to pay taxes to the state. So before you go live, you want to make sure you've done your due diligence of what you have to be, what are the requirements in your city? Because the last thing you want is to buy a rental property and then not even be able to do it because you violated a law that you didn't even know about. But as far as getting bookings, like, it was pretty immediate. It just, there's so many people coming to Nashville that it just kind of blew up right away, and it wasn't really too hard. Sorry to say I don't have like a challenge story on that part.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is based on location. Cara happens to be in Nashville, which it's a growing area, and it's definitely like good real estate area to pay attention to. And one of the things about Airbnb is, like people talk about the money they make, but there is some extra work associated with keeping the house in order, having extra supplies. So what are some of the things you're doing to, provide that guest with a great experience and not feel like you're overwhelmed with all the work you have to do to maintain that experience?
Yeah, so I actually recently got a guy who I heard about that does this type of work. He's like a maintenance guy, and he can do all kinds of property improvements. And he comes out like once a month because, the walls get scuffed up or the toilet breaks, and he's there to fix all this stuff. Because I have a full-time job, I can't be running out there all the time. So having people in place that can help you, that you can pay to help you, is definitely important. Cleaning crew is huge. Like, that's probably one of the most important things. You've got to have somebody that can clean well and that's going to be able to come at the drop of a hat when you get a last minute booking. So managing all that is a little bit of work. And then also messaging with guests is really important. I spend a lot of time like talking to people and because they have questions. But yeah, definitely having people there to help me and to take care of the house is absolutely needed.
And I mean, yeah, it's great that you break that perspective because, I mean, you share that perspective because it gives us a deeper idea of the work required to be an Airbnb host. Like, it's not just you list on Airbnb, you get people to come in and you make money. There is more to it. And I do love how you broke that down in a way that, you said what needs to be done, but it's not too complicated. Like, you can hire people to do stuff for you. You message people on your phone. Like, it's not too complicated if you have the right systems in place.
Absolutely. And you learn as you go. And, some people do the cleaning themselves, and I've certainly done that at times too. I don't mind it. I know other people will do like Lyft driving, and they'll actually offer that as a service to their guests. So then they're like combining two side hustles in one. And I've heard that's really helpful, like getting more people to book, because it's like, oh, you get a Lyft driver on site. And, there's just so many different ways you can go. And now Airbnb has added this whole experience thing where you can have like maybe a songwriting camp for people at your house, or you can do like a cooking thing. So there's just like no end to the ideas and possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the Airbnb side hustle. I feel like it is something like anyone should be considering just to explore the possibility of. And Cara has really shared with us how we can explore Airbnb and some of the different things around it. For people who want to follow your working journey, where are some good places for us to go?
Well, I have a blog actually, pennypolly.com, and you can check out my Airbnb side hustle tips there, as well as some other financial tips and making money. If you're wanting to get started, start on the internet, do some research and figure out what you need to do, and take the plunge though, because I can tell you it is worth it.
Cara, thank you for sharing with us those resources. Links will be down below. Once again, thank you so much for joining us on Side Hustle Paradise. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much.